Crons? Huh. Yeah. What are they good for? Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. We're in The Plan. This is my weekly show that I talk about all things Galaxy of Heroes, all things current anyways, and there's some new stuff that's here. We're going to be talking about the new Raven's Claw ship that was just announced, so that'll be interesting. Going to talk about Datacrons. We have 2 weeks worth of information and just perspective on them. We have a few other more lighthearted discussion topics, and it's going to be a good time, folks. So before you miss it, though, keep in mind I just released my reaction video for the Raven's Claw, and you know, I predicted it. I did predict it. Hooray for me. Yay. That was super awesome of me, of course, obviously. But there's also a video doing kit analysis. I can't do a full kit analysis on this show, so you guys can go check it out. I released it just a few hours before this video came out, so it's pretty easy to find, but it's probably going to really suffer because this video will take its place on people's feeds and everything. But if you want to see the kit analysis, please feel free, go check that out. And let's just spend a couple seconds going back and forth and watching my face transition. Alright, you guys tripped out and annoyed yet? Me too. So let's actually go to the next part, which is me saying, if you want to support this channel, guys, just a reminder, please like, subscribe, comment, etc. Help me mount the algorithm. It's not going to mount itself, and I rely on you guys for everything. Really appreciate you. I've learned so much from you lately. This has been my favorite video to make. Every week that I make, I love it, guys. This show is so fun, and I've learned a ton from you. So please let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on the different topics that I'm discussing, and you know, let me know how we can improve the show. Keep it all respectful, please, and let's move right along, shall we? So first thing, I want to brag a tiny bit. I got max waves on the dark side territory battles, which, I mean, I've been capable of doing that for a long time anyways, but I finally, it's actually difficult in my guild because everyone just hurries up and finishes it, and if you're not in to the, you know, into your combats within the first couple hours, you're just sorry out of luck. And so I did this, but I did it at the expense of my whole guild, and I do want to say sorry. I didn't do the special mission because I mixed up my alt guild and my main guild. My alt guild is a little bit smaller, and they were like, hey, don't do the special mission. Ignore that one. Go do the Dooku one because you need to do it. We need to get all the banners that we can so that we can actually get max stars, which is pretty reasonable for where they're at. And I think we did end up getting the max stars. But the issue being, I did that for my main account and took out the Dooku mission using Watt, and so they're mad at me. And, you know, if they need to boot me, I guess they can, but I don't think they're going to. This is an apology. I don't think that the leadership actually watches my videos, so maybe they'll never hear it. This is the only place they'll hear it from me, though. If you want your apology from me, guys, come here, watch my videos. Haha. I know a couple of you guys do, actually, and I appreciate you. So, 75, I never have to do that crap ever again. Ever. Let someone else do it. Alright, just in terms of content that I've been making, I made a video comparing and contrasting all the different galactic legends, and Starkiller and Grand Inquisitor Executor requirements all included there. You guys can check that video out. Took me a long time to make this graphic, but we can keep it updated now. Won't take me nearly as much time. Similarly, I've been working on, I keep promising this, but I'm not going to forget it, folks, going to do an Empire fleet essentials video. It's just taking longer than I wanted to because I want to keep getting the format chiseled down. I apologize for the delay, but I want to do it right, and it's taking a bit. So, you know, that's still on the docket. Also working on some kind of a monthly format for Datacrons, for those of you who want to keep updated on this shifting meta, which is actually fairly interesting to me, despite some of the things that I don't like about all of these Datacrons, which we're going to discuss more in depth here. So in terms of content, that's stuff to keep in mind. Now, last week I showed you guys a mod that I had in my possession that was a potentially perfect mod, and as in I could roll, if I roll 2 more 6s, I could actually turn this mod into a plus 30 speed, which is super rare. And I realize I'm realistic about it. I know that my chances are very, very low that I'll actually roll 2 perfect 6s, but I've already done it once on this mod. Maybe I can do it again. So every week I'm going to update this. We're going to do 1 roll per week, and I'll just show you guys my slow progress. So this is the one from last week, and this is a little bit of a tease because I just got it to 6E this time. So this one was a guaranteed speed boost, but I did have to chuckle in commiseration because a couple people who saw this from the show last week were like, oh yeah, I found one of those mods in my roster, and so now it's a 6A mod, and it's just a plus 18 speed still. So you know, my heart goes out to you guys. That's what this mod is going to be for me as well. Bo-Katan probably doesn't deserve much better than this anyways, frankly. Raven's Claw has been released, guys, and it's a rebel fleet, a rebel ship, as you might imagine. You can see that I predicted it a while ago. I've made a video about getting ready for the Profundity, just based on the fact that Admiral Radis, it was released in the game, and you can see on the bottom right, the Moldy Crow, which is Kyle Katarn's other ship that they chose not to use. But now we have Razor's Claw instead, and it is still his ship. They also heavily implied that Profundity was coming out soon, which makes there was no question of that in my opinion. Now, one thing I do want to point out, which is kind of funny, right underneath the big text there of Raven's Claw, you can see in blue it says Bounty Hunter as one of the jobs, and I think all that is like the person who was making this was like, oh, I think maybe bounty hunters, maybe it's a bounty hunter thing, but I better go ask my boss because maybe not. And so they just highlighted it, turned it blue. They're like, we can't possibly miss this in the QC, and then they did, and now we're left questioning, is this going to be a bounty hunter ship? Now, there's not really any precedent for it in the game itself that like he was never a bounty hunter. Maybe he dealt with bounty hunters, I don't remember, but he was never a bounty hunter himself. And honestly, I don't think CG wants to mess with the ecosystem that is Executor right now. So I think in other parts of the kit reveal that they had, they also talked about how he wasn't a bounty hunter. Well, they didn't talk about it, they just omitted bounty hunter on it. So I just thought it was an interesting thing. And this isn't really even shade at CG, it just an interesting thing. That was the very first thing that I noticed, actually. I noticed Jedi as a tag, at which I was like, wait, is there even, like, could we make a Jedi fleet one day? Or, like, I can't think of any Jedi synergy in fleets. Maybe I'm just going crazy, but one way or another, then I noticed bounty hunter. I was like, wow, a new bounty hunter? That seems bold on their end. Incidentally, I also do have the Outrider farmed. I've been doing double refreshes since it's become farmable, so it is ready to go, guys. Start farming it right now. Honestly, like, you're gonna need to. That's going to be a requirement for the new fleet. You should do it. Plus, Dash is a very, he's an important character. He's an unlock character for the Star Killer, which is super important. And, he's good on his own anyways, even without being an unlock character. So, the ship right now doesn't have much use, but it will. It's going to go with the Falcon, with the Profundity, almost certainly, because it is a Scoundrel and a Rebel ship, which means that you can see I spent all this money on Photoshop and all I've gotten is underlines for it. No, that's false, but it does kind of to make me chuckle. So throughout the kit on this Razor Wing, Razor Crest, Raven's Claw, dear Lord, there's just too many things. Too many words, guys. I need to get better at words, I think. But here's the thing. Non-Scoundrel Rebels. The only two that we have are Falcon and the Ravens. No, the Outrider. The Ravens Outrider. Anyways, we've So I just took a random piece of text here, guys. Like I was just on this screen, and so I just like screenshotted it, and so it's predominantly in red, the non-scoundrel rebel allies. So it's like saying don't use, and you guys can look at the full kit analysis if you want, but essentially it's saying you can't use Falcon with this. Like you can, and it'll probably still happen. It'll still be good because Falcon is just good at making all the ships good. But the intent here is for the Razor's wing, the new ship, we'll call it new ship, for the new ship to go with the home one, to just swap out with Falcon. Falcon, you go somewhere else, which is going to be the Profundity, but it's saying you can't go with the Falcon. You can't go with the Falcon, and then the one time that you can read it here, but it's all over in that kit, not just here. If you're a good boy, and this is kind of referencing my thumbnail caption here, if you're a good boy, you'll take you'll put him with the home one fleet. Like, it has to be home one. If home one, then you get all these things. If it's not home one, then like why are you still reading? Like, go. Why are you even playing this game if you're gonna do that? Like, you has to go. Everyone who's anyone knows you have to go with home one if you're the new ship. So, and so they're creating this thing where Falcon can't go with the new ship, and the new ship has to go with home one. So if you just follow that little logic trail, it's basically saying new ship is the replacement of Falcon. Falcon is gonna go with the Profundity with other non-scoundrel rebel allies, and that's what's going to happen. I am very confident of that's what their intent is. Whether or not that's going to end up being what's good is another question, but that's what's going to happen, and whatever, that's fine. So I guess one thing I did want to mention here, guys, before we jump into Datacron and that discussion, is what are your thoughts on how prescriptive some of these kits are? Like for instance, Jedi Master Kenobi and Cat are essentially required to go together. They have to go together because anyone who is skilled in this game at all, who has General Skywalker, will recognize a Jedi Master Kenobi team on defense without Cat. They'll just use General Skywalker and get a really, really cheap kill. Like, it's essentially a 2-slot character. Jedi Master Kenobi is. I don't know how I feel about them prescribing things like this. This is them saying, if you're going to have this new fancy awesome ship, it has to go with this new with home one. It has to. You are required, basically. Like, yeah, you could absolutely do that, but why would you? There's so much language here saying has to be home one, has to be home one, has to be home one. And I know that some people have taken umbrage to the idea of, if they release a character, it has to go a certain place. Though it doesn't always work out that way. Like Talon, for instance, was released as a 4th Sith triumvirate, and people have just, sometimes they take Talon with the Sith trio, and sometimes they take Talon with any number of other characters. So I don't feel like it's always happening the way CG is requiring. Though I will say, like, they're like, oh yeah, Executor's Empire, sure, I have a couple rules for Empire too, but mostly we want you to use Bounty Hunters, and everyone just uses Bounty Hunters because that's the best option. I don't know, what do you guys think about these kind of forced slotting of characters? I'm curious to hear what you guys think. I actually find that I don't mind. I don't care. I think it's fine. That's my take on it. So would love to hear what you guys think. Let's jump in to Datacrons. Now, you can see my excellent I keep wanting to say PowerPoint. My excellent Photoshop skills. I'm just bad at words. Here, this is actually from, I did this on my phone, but what can a man do against such reckless Datacrons? I don't know. Datacrons, guys, I'm not the sole arbiter of truth here, guys. You guys have really given me a lot to think about in terms of Datacrons and what your thoughts are. I know that there's a lot of negativity about them. There's also actually a surprising amount of positivity about Datacrons that I think we want to discuss it. I want to kind of present a few thoughts here, and I don't really know. I don't like Datacrons, frankly. Not yet. there are some things that I've been really enjoying about them. Truly, I do enjoy some aspects of them. We're going to talk about that. What I would encourage people to do, and I'm not accusing anyone of this, I promise, but I would, and not even a but, I don't want to accuse anyone. I don't want to talk down. I just want to share my perspective on things, and what I would encourage people to do is to evaluate for yourself and not give in to groupthink, because I think that there is a lot of good of that happening on every level of the game, and I would encourage people to be individuals as opposed to group thinkers. So, the first thing I have thought about Datacrons is I don't have time to be a Kraken. Normally, Krakens, and this isn't a slam on Krakens, people who spend money, is a lot of times people want to be Krakens because it's convenient. They want to get their stuff right away and they don't have to work for it. And right now, if you want to get the most Datacrons ever, you have to spend a lot of refreshes, or a lot of crystals on refreshes, to get all of the Datacron materials to be able, in Conquest, to be able to actually get, 5 or 6 or however many we're going to end up having of the level 9 Datacrons. So I don't have time though, guys. It's a grind. That's a huge time investment that I have to spend exactly half of my gameplay on, or maybe not gameplay, but it goes on for 2 weeks out of every 4 weeks. Like, that's what the intent is, and I don't have enough time. Like, even if I wanted to Kraken out on this, I just don't have enough time. It's a little kind of frustrating. Like, it would be nice if they added some kind of a simming thing. It's like, okay, if you get red crate, then you can sim these nodes. That would be really nice. I wouldn't be surprised to see CG doing that. Or maybe they just want people to spend more time in game, which is also a metric that they brag about quite a bit. Now, another thing about Datacrons that I've been thinking about, Relic 3 on every character. It feels frustrating because on my alt, I have a ton of characters, a ton of teams. It's like, I tried to use a Cron on a Jedi squad the other day, and it was like, well, I have to have Jolie on the squad, but Jolie's only Relic 2. He would have been fine there, but I can't use a Datacron now because of Jolie being Relic 2. I can't even upgrade him right now because of the crazy Starkiller grind. So, I don't know what to think of this, guys. Relic 3 on every toon makes me think that the intent here is for it to mostly just be endgame characters who are being impacted. You guys can let me know what your thoughts on this are. This is something that I feel like a lot of players have been communicating a lot of frustration about, because we don't all have, I think my alt account has like 2 teams that I can even use a Relic 5 Datacron on, and much less, like, a lot of my teams are Gears 12 still, and it's just not an accessible thing. Even in Kyber 2, it's just not something I see very often. So the question is, because if this is endgame, is this game now truly pay to win? Has this game ever been pay to win? I mean, certainly there's pay to win elements. Like, we're all playing this game because people spend money. People want to get an advantage, and so they spend money and they get their advantage. And we all, collectively should be saying thank you for keeping this game that we all love alive, because, if we were all free to play, no shade on free to play, there's a lot of really impressive players out there who do it that way, who have that approach. But if we were all free to play, this game would disappear instantly. They would just get rid of it. And so we need people to spend money. We need Krakens. We need people who are whaling out. And so I feel like there's always been that kind of advantage. Like, okay, I don't get this new character right away, but other people do. And I wish that I was one of those people, but I'm not. So but they're spending $300 for a character. So, it seems like maybe this game has always been pay to win to some degree. Now, I will say this is a very well, I've been talking to a lot of people who play other games, and this is a very well structured game for free to play. Like a lot of really good free to play players out there who don't spend money on the game, but they still stay competitive. This is a really good game for that. I think we lose sight of that sometimes, but I'm not saying that the game is staying pay-to-play friendly. I'm just saying it has traditionally been that way. So I was talking to my buddy Tassinix the other day, and he was, I was saying, well, okay, so Datacrons, just by way of, kind of explaining, like that how strong they are right now. Krakens like to, and whales like to spend to buy an advantage. That's how I've heard it described by a lot of different spenders, is they like to buy an advantage. And the question is, so Tassinix was like, well, more like rent an advantage, because Datacrons just go away eventually, right? Like they just disappear into the ether. And I've been chewing on that for a while, because renting an advantage, of course, like that's been one of the biggest sticking points, right? Is people saying like, well, I don't want to spend money on something that is just going to go away soon. And I guess there's a couple things that I've been thinking about this. So, buying an advantage, in a way, it really is renting an advantage. Like, so I soft whaled for Sortie for the new droid. And right now, that's probably giving me a small advantage in GAC. I've gotten a few holds. It's been nice because other people don't have it. I light whaled. I bought it in shipments. And so that is an advantage. But once people who are free to play or, just aren't spending as much money as me eventually get Sortie, that advantage just kind of goes away. It just melts. Like, we become equals again, essentially. And sure, like the money I spent were on shards, and so I gotta keep the shards, but in a way, like I would have been given those shards for free later on. This was just for a temporary advantage. In a way, it is a rental of an advantage. Like that's kind of how it works. Not to mention, if you are investing in Datacrons right now, your investment isn't just like thrown away. Those Datacrons melt into materials that you can use for future sets. So you're still getting some of your investment back. Not all of it, I know, but some of it. I don't necessarily think that the idea of you're only renting an advantage works. Now, no shade to Tassinix. I think that this is a very common way to perceive them. And I didn't really, I've just been thinking about it. I haven't, I didn't talk to him about it further, so I hope I'm not misrepresenting anything on his end. But I do think that in a way this game has always been about renting an advantage. It just, Datacrons seems a little bit more egregious in terms of that advantage kind of going away, but I don't really think that that's exactly how it goes. We'll have to see down the line, but I would be very interested to hear what you guys think. Like, rent versus buy, and has this game always been about renting an advantage? I do like the idea of having it reward flexible rosters. So it's like General Skywalker is really, really strong now against Commander Luke teams, which that might change in Season 2 or whatever. We'll talk about that at some other point, not in this video. But, if you have a Maul team, though, Maul can still beat a General Skywalker team fairly easily. And if you can recognize what your opponent is going to be placing, then you're going to take Maul, and then you can put CLS, on other duty. I do like the idea of having those flexible rosters and being able to kind of shift and, figure out, instead of being like, oh, this is always what I do in every situation. You can actually say, well, this time I can adapt and, change or whatever. And it's good for endgame accounts. I don't know. Lower level accounts are much less capable of being flexible. I do like the idea of it rewarding flexible rosters, though. So one thing I do want to point out, though, guys, because I've heard this a lot. I have heard this a ton. And my Professor X account, my 7 million account that's free to play, or functionally free to play, especially on Datacrons, I do have a level 9 Datacron. And if I had worked harder in Conquest, which is not any kind of slight on Sarah, I promise, but I think I could have gotten... I think I could have gotten another one for free, basically, if I had grinded Conquest just a little bit more. That would have probably panned out. So I just think it's worth pointing out, guys. It's not impossible to get level 9. I also have a couple level 6s, I believe, on that account too. So, I haven't spent anything. I've bought a couple things with crystals, but otherwise, not much on crystals, really. Really, it is accessible to lower level accounts if you want to engage in it. So, I have two really big questions here, guys. First off, were Datacrons necessary? This is the thing that has been plaguing me forever. I don't know what I think. Is it necessary? It doesn't feel necessary. I've loved this meta quite a bit. I will say that there's two kind of good arguments that I've heard for yes, it was necessary. First off, we do need the game to change now and then, and in bigger, less comfortable ways than we're prepared a lot of times to accept. And like when Relics came out, it was extremely unpopular, and now people have kind of come around to embracing them to some degree. And I'm not saying that this is as good as Relics or as bad potentially. I just want to know, is it necessary? My buddy Solo Base, who runs who's my co-host with or on our podcast together, the Gambit podcast. He said he was really bored with the never changing, with the stagnant. Okay, well, they're running General Skywalker. I guess I have to use Commander Luke Skywalker, etc. Now it's changed the dynamic by quite a bit, and he likes it. A lot of people have really liked this shift, and you don't want the game to get stagnant. And I don't know, it's uncomfortable for me. I don't really love it, but it's just something to be thinking about. Was this necessary? Was the game getting stagnant? It's worth thinking about at the very least. And the second one, guys, and this is one that I would really challenge you to just don't think of what other people have said. Don't think of what other people have talked about. How has this impacted you on a personal level? Are you even able to do anything with Datacrons? Does it impact you? I've seen a few really low-level account people complaining about Datacrons and how ridiculous they are, and it's like, well, that they're kind of not designed for that level of an account. It's not that, it's frustrating that some things aren't accessible, but Galactic Legends aren't immediately accessible, at least not all of them, to brand new players either. And you kind of work your way into the game. Fleets aren't accessible to brand new players. There's a ton of things that you have to kind of work your way into. And for myself, Professor X account, that's my alt. I've won 5 out of 6 of my last matches, and I've won. I haven't once faced a Datacron that was scary. Maybe that'll change this week. I don't know, but so far, I don't feel like I haven't been impacted on a personal level. Really, not on that account. It seems like I have a few Datacrons that may, help me a little bit here and there. I have a level 9 now, so that will actively help me. But I want to know, there are a lot of people who watch this channel who are endgame and who are going to be impacted by this hugely. How much is it really impacting you, though? I would be very interested to know what most people are thinking of in terms of their impact level, because for the amount of rage that's going on about Datacrons, and I'm saying this with love, guys, I'm not accusing, because I felt the same rage. For the amount of rage that's going on, I feel like there's a disproportionate amount of rage to how much people are actually even required to use Datacrons or even have access to them. People who don't have access to them and shouldn't because of their lower level accounts or whatever, at least in terms of what CG is intended, are complaining in huge ways in certain places about how worthless these are. And I don't know if that's actually impacted them in a negative way. I just think that's kind of been the idea lately, and so just be thinking about that. I mean, yes, it's one thing. I'm hugely impacted by it on my main account. I don't know that it would impact my alt at all so far. So far it hasn't. I'd be very interested to know. Has it impacted you in a bad way? Do you hate it? Is it fun? I mean, if you step aside from what other people are thinking, from what other people are saying, you may surprise yourself, or maybe you'll keep the same opinion. It's just worth asking. It's worth asking with an open heart, guys. And one last thing, a reminder with love, guys. I also think that if you're playing this game, if you want to keep up, You have to engage with Datacrons right now. They're not going away. Not for a long time. And you don't have to. I promise you, I don't care if you do or not. I just... If you need to quit the game, then I respect that. I do. If they hate you, or if you hate them so much that you need to leave, I get it. I totally do. However, if you're just trying to ignore them and have decided that you're going to keep up anyways, I just want to remind you that isn't how it works. You're going to have to engage with it if you're going to keep up. So whether you like it or not, that's the honest truth. I'm not saying that you should, and if you don't care about them, or if you're fine with kind of getting a little behind on this stuff, totally fine. Just a reminder, you can't keep up with an advancement game like this, with all these different levels of upgrading your roster without actually engaging in one of the new fancy things. So, anyways, the final thought. These new Datacrons are keeping Galactic Legends super dominant. They're taking away a lot of the off-meta counters. Not all of them, but it's a lot harder to play them. Is that something we want? Do we want Galactic Legends to stay in a lofty position? That seems like that's what CG's goal is. And I don't know, is it working? Is it something we want? Curious to hear what your thoughts are. So, enough about Datacrons, guys. Last part of this video, this show, it's the speculation part. I have to wonder, with the new fleets coming out, we're going to get a profundity. We're going to get a couple more ships, maybe. We have this weird situation where in GAC, we're all required to place 3 fleets and kill 3 fleets. In Territory Wars, right now, all we're required to do is place 2 fleets and kill 2 fleets. At what point are they going to start requiring the same in Territory Wars as they are in GAC? They've already required that many in teams, basically. Pretty close to it anyways. But fleets, we're only doing 2/3 of what the max is. Like 66% seems to me like maybe they're going to change fleets at some point. I don't know if they are, but just something to be thinking about. I don't want them to be clear. I don't want more ships in Territory Wars, but it seems like that might happen. And finally, guys, Raven's Claw and Razor Crest, they have the same acronym. Who is going to change? Who's going to blink first? What's going to be the new acronym so that we can all coexist in relative peace and harmony? Guys, I've spoken so much this video. I'm tired. I actually had to do a couple takes, and I hope that I represented everyone in a way that is fair, or everything in a way that's fair. But I need to get going. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you still like this video format? Do you hate it? Do you think it is just okay? I would love to hear feedback as well, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm going to leave it up to you now. Discuss away. Thank you all so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails.